Welcome back to another video with your boy Wolf. Today, oh my gosh, in the wee hours of the morning, night, however you want to look at it, around like 4 a.m. after the maintenance was done for Yu-Gi-Oh, all the little data miners and their little fingers went to work typing in all sorts of anti-life equations. Shout out to Darkseid and the DC Nation, and they came out with the data mine of the 14th main box in the series. All of the cards, not some of the cards, not a little of the cards, not some AI is playing it. No, they came in with all of the cards, confirmed what we're gonna have in the next main box. This is the leak that we've been waiting for. So if you want to know whether or not you've been saving your gems for just the right box, you can determine that by watching this video or any of the leak videos or going for the leaks yourself. So what we have right here on duellinks.gameA.co is where you can find, or at least where I'm finding, a list of all the leaks with easy accessible links to click so that you can see what they do. So the first, we're going to start with the UR card. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 UR cards. Let's start from top to bottom with, first up, Mermail Abyss Megalo. And what this means is that we are confirmed getting the Mermail archetype coming to the game, which will make relevant again sea stealth, make relevant again some of those water cards that maybe you've been holding on to for just the right time, so that we can get the Mermails in. Mermails, for those of you that don't know, were at one point in time atop of the TCG, and it's seeming like they're probably going to be at minimum tier 2 in Duel Links. So we have a water sea serpent effect. You can discard 2 other water monsters to the graveyard, special summon this card from your hand. When you do, you can add 1 abyss, spell, or trap card from your deck to your hand. You contribute 1 other face-up attack position water monster this turn, or this card can make a second attack during each battle phase this turn. So by tributing the water monster, you can make a second attack. So obviously attack with that monster, then tribute it, make the second attack. And I know what you're thinking, that's a lot of resources just to get the 1 spell or trap to your hand. But if you don't know, a lot of the Mermails work by, if this card is used for another monster's effect, it then gets an effect to pop something on the field, spell, trap, or monster. So that's where the shenanigans come into play. And just for clearer text on it, the effect is right there. So again, discard 2 other water monsters to the grave. So this is all from your hand. Special summon this card from your hand when you do so. And then you can pop the effects of the cards that you discarded. So that's going to be a lot of shenanigans with that card in particular. Next card we got is Elemental Hero Gaia. So I know the last couple of boxes, Elemental Heroes have been really disappointing. We needed a lot of these fusions earlier in the game for Elemental Heroes to even be relevant, and I think that they really missed out on their chance to have their flagship character GX Jaden be the standout. The standout easily was Aster. Like, he's been the standout of the GX world so far. But Gaia's effect is going to be 1 Elemental Hero monster plus 1 Earth monster is needed to fuse him. He can't be fusion summoned or special summoned any other way other than that. When this card is fusion summoned, target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls until the end phase. Its attack is halved, and this card gains the same amount of attack. So this is the card you bring in with after you hate Trunade, clear the back row, you fusion summon this boy out, and he ends the game for you. This is a game ender. So it's actually not terrible, and I think that it's going to find some play in some deck out there, whether it be for fun or maybe just a King of Games deck. But it's definitely going to find some use for sure. We got UA Midfielder next up. This is going to be a 4-star Earth Warrior effect monster, 1200 attack, 1000 defense. We got the effect being you can special summon this card from your hand by returning 1 UA monster you control to the hand. So that's going to be really easy to get out, and you can maybe even because it doesn't even have to be face up. So you summon a UA monster. Let's say you get hit by Canada. Let's say you get hit by Floodgate. Doesn't matter. Return that boy. Special summon this boy out by using his effect. And then you can only special summon UA midfielder once per turn. So you can't just swarm the field with them. But during either player's turn, you can target one other UA monster you control. Return that face-up monster to the hand. Then special summon one UA monster from your hand with a different name from that monster. You can only use this effect of UA midfielder once per turn. So the UA is getting off of return, special summon, and whatever shenanigans the rest of their archetype include. And as you see, this site includes some pros and cons to the cards. I'm going to assume that a pro is you can special summon a bunch. And I'm going to assume a con is you need other monsters on the field to be able to special summon, and that might be hard. Especially with the way the meta is now and some of the back row you're up against. Again, if you're Canadian out, one of the cards, and you use it to special summon this boy, how you going to get a second boy out, a second UA out, to be able to even use his effect? So it might not be that good in Duel Links, but UA was definitely an archetype to look out for in the TCG. Next up, we got Swap Frog. So we're getting a lot of water support this box, which is really great for especially somebody like me. I'm big on water. Back in the OG days, I used Mako and Lavia Dragon. After that, I was huge on Sea Stealth for the week it was relevant until Sylvans entered the playing field. Hated that. But now hopefully I can get back into my water bag, back into my Mako bag, and show the world what's up with the water boys. A Swap Frog, 2-star, 1000 attack, 500 defense. Effect, you can discard one water monster to special summon this card from your hand. When this card is summoned, you can select and send one level 2 or lower aqua type water monster from your deck or side of the field to the graveyard. Once per turn, you can return one monster you control to your hand to normal summon one frog monster except Swap Frog or Frog to Jam in addition to your normal summoner set this turn. So this guy can get you at least 2 monsters on the field and 1 in the grave to set up some kind of shenanigan play. And if I remember correctly, some of the Mermail monsters, just as long as they were discarded for an effect, you can use their effect. So he probably has some synergy within the Mermail archetype. Next up is going to be the spell card that we've already seen from the leak of the leak. And this is going to be Galaxy Cyclone. Regular spell card. Of course, if it was quick play, it would instantly be released and on the limited list for 1 if it was quick play. Let's just say that. But you can target one set of spell card, one set spell or trap card on the field, destroy it. Already good. 1 for 1, face up, face down, or no, face down, spell or traps. Of course, these days, especially with Endless Trap Hole, Amazons, and Odeon, you're gonna get some value out of this. But during your main phase, and if they flip in response to this, the second part of this effect is gonna be real key. During your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard. So following turn, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one face up spell or trap on the field, onslaught, and then destroy it. You can only use the effect of Galaxy Cyclone once per turn. So you gotta wait following turns to use either or effect. Even if you have 2 of these in your grave, you'd only be able to use 1 and on the following turn. But you get 2 uses out of this, because you know if you're going up against Amazons, they're gonna flip it. You already know they are. So you're definitely gonna get a guaranteed destroy out of this card. So that card is gonna be pretty good. Would love to see what type of decks that is able to fit in. Next up, we got Gemini Spark. So Gemini Spark is going to be a spell card, quick play, and as the name would suggest, it's geared around Geminis. Tribute 1 face-up level 4 Gemini monster, then target 1 card on the field, destroy it, and if you do, draw 1 card. So, alright, so this is what we got, right? You're using a 2 for 1. You play this card, you then tribute 1 of your Geminis to destroy a card on the field, right? So that's 2 for 1. But you get a card back to your hand, and because this is quick play, you can set it and activate it during your opponent's battle phase. Maybe you have supervise on said monster, and then when supervise is sent to the grave, you can activate supervise, so you might get your monster back. This is gonna be maybe the card we need to make Geminis great again. But I can't even say again because they were never great. But this could be the card we need to finally get Geminis off of the ground. I've been trying to make Gemini work at every turn, spend way too many gems getting the Gemini Fusion monster, a second copy of them, only to find out that, man, this deck really isn't good. But again, maybe this will be the card that we need to get them off the ground. I really hope so. I'm definitely going to build a Gemini deck and test it out for sure. Next up, Gates of Dark World. So Dark World support. That's always good to see, considering Dark World had kind of a run at the time. It was a very expensive deck to run. Very expensive. So not everybody ran it, but those who did could see the potential, but it just never quite sat atop of the tier list. It was always maybe tier 2, worst case tier 3 type deck, just because some other decks outclassed it. But Gates of Dark World, field spell. All fiend type monsters gain 300 attack and defense. Already pretty good. Once per turn, you can banish one fiend type monster from your graveyard, discard one fiend type monster, then draw one card. So this is actually, this might be able to resurrect Dark World, because what you have here is, one, you can banish a fiend type monster from your grave and then discard a fiend. So all of the Dark Worlds, for the most part, I'm pretty sure are fiends. And all of the nasty effects you want to do are triggered by discarding. So this gets you the discard without relying on Dark World rulings or just some other kind of shenanigans for the discard. You got it all right here in one field spell. And you even get to draw a card. You don't lose out on anything but what's already in the grave, a fiend type monster. So that's pretty good. And maybe even some shenanigans with the dimensional monster reborn, essentially, where you equip it to a remove or play spell card and put it on your side of the field. So this could maybe go a long way and put Dark Worlds at least tier 2, at least, right? Maybe I'm premature, but that's what I'm thinking anyway. And the last UR, but not the least of the UR, is going to be Drowning Mirror Force. So what we have right here, folks, is an opportunity to bypass every single bit of shenanigans that a card text could have, because you're not putting anything in the grave, removing it from play. You're sending it right back to the deck. Let's get the clear text right here. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, shuffle all attack position monsters your opponent controls into the deck. That doesn't leave room for putting it into the grave and you getting hit by Mayhem for hire right back out. That doesn't leave room for anything that activates by sending it to the grave. It does leave room for some card effects where if you send it back to, or if it leaves the field for any reason, it activates. But that's very few cards, but that's pretty good. It's not necessarily a trap card that I would stock up. Like, let's say your deck is slightly offensive to highly offensive and just aggressive, you might tech in one of these, right? But I honestly see this card coming into play for stall decks, if I'm being honest. I know that at first glance it seems like a crazy card, and I might be in the minority with this hot take here, but I don't think this card at the moment, especially for some of the decks that we're seeing furries. You might think that this is a direct counter to furry, but let's say you have a Wiz in defense mode. Wiz is already going to negate this, and then it's in defense mode. People are going to play around this card because people already play around Wall of Disruption. So because Wall of Disruption is a thing, you're not going to get the most out of this card when people play around it, because they're not going to put everything into attack mode. People are going to play a little bit more cautiously. You also got to think about Wiz, and you also got to think about if you're playing this card and you're playing Treacherous Trap Hole. If you draw this first and use it first, your Treacherous Trap Hole then becomes null and void. So I still think Treacherous Trap Hole is the better card to play, and if you're playing Treacherous Trap Hole, I would not recommend playing this card. So I don't think it's going to see as much use as you would think, and it's definitely going to be a very niche group of decks. But that sums up all of the URs. Up next, we got the SRs. So the SRs, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 SR cards. Of course, there'll be 2 copies of each as long as the box is the same. 1 copy of all the URs. So if you see any of these URs and you want multiple copies, just keep in mind you only get 1. So the chances are, let's say you really want 3 Gemini Sparks to get Gemini off the ground. You really want 3 Dark World Gates. And let's face it, folks, you're going to need 3 of a lot of these. And first 10 packs, you open up Dark World, the Gates of Dark World. You're probably going to want to reset the box. That's just strategic, and let's face it, it's going to be expensive. Whatever deck you want to play from this is going to be expensive. Main box are expensive. So use these leaks to determine if you really want to drop all the gems, because Konami making it hard to stack up gems these days. So this is where the leaks are important and videos are important that breaks down all the cards so that you know if it's really worth your time or not. But the first SR is going to be Dark Valkyria. Dark Valkyria is going to be a Fairy Gemini 4-star, 1800 attack, 1050 defense. This might come into play in combo with Gemini Spark. Let's find out. So the effect, when it's summoned again, once while this card is face up on the field, you can place 1 spell counter on it. This card gains 300 attack for each spell counter. So as soon as you're able to use the effect, it becomes a 2100 beater. You can remove 1 spell counter from this card, then target 1 monster on the field to destroy the target. So as soon as you put 1 spell counter on it, you can then remove it to destroy a monster. That's really good, like really good. And if you combo this with Gemini Spark, you're going to be able to pop at least 2 monsters. So really good. If I was building a Gemini deck, I would definitely put this in there, especially since I already got the 3 supervisors, and this might go really well with just a Gemini pop deck where you're just destroying things. With this combo with the Gemini from the previous box, the box with the Battery Man that has a Gemini, where he's really good as well and can destroy things. So I think the Gemini might be making a comeback, folks. Gemini might be making a comeback. Next up, we got the Kaimaru Sandman with the Kaimaru archetype. At least I hope I'm saying it right anyway. But this guy is going to be Earth, 4-star, 1900 attack, 1200 defense, rock type, with an effect of, during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send 1 Iron Core Kaimaru from your hand to the graveyard, or reveal 1 rock type monster in your hand. So it should be fairly easy to keep this guy on the field. So don't let that first part of his effect scare you away. But during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a trap card, you contribute this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would I want to give up a 1900 beater just to destroy a trap card? This is why. Rock has been slowly power creeping for a lot of boxes now, for a lot of months now, and there are a lot of cards that trigger rock effects by rocks being in the grave and you being able to special summon something because you have X amount of rocks in your grave. This will help to do that, and not only help to do that, but negate trap cards. So this is on the field and you already got your grave set up to bring out a big boy rock monster, and then your opponent floodgates. No. Tribute this guy, negate it, destroy it, your boy's out, safe. So I think if there is a rock deck to be made, you're gonna put this guy in it for sure. So that's gonna be pretty good, and you already get 2 of them just because you get 2 of each SR. So that's not gonna be bad at all. Next up, we got another Kaimaru Knight. Could definitely see a select group of people making a meme out of his name, but this guy's gonna be an Earth Beast Warrior. So if you want to run a rock archetype, maybe just the first Koiki card that I just showed you would be the better one to include, because this guy isn't rock, he's beast warrior. Keep that in mind. But he is a 2000 attack, 1500 defense, another 4-star 2000 beater with an effect of during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koiki Meru from your hand to the graveyard, or reveal one beast warrior. So this is for you beast warrior boys out there. Once per turn, you can reveal one Iron Core of Koiki Meru in your hand to special summon one level 4 or lower Koiki Meru monster from your deck, except Koiki Meru Urnite. So it seems like this archetype kind of all over the place. I'm not liking that, actually. I think that might be a red flag, that you have a rock type and a beast type, but they're both Koiki, and I feel like that would clash. But next up, we got Mermail Abyss Pike. And he's going to be a 4-star water monster fish, 1600 attack, 800 defense, with an effect of when this card is normal or special summon, you can discard one water monster. Keep in mind, a lot of things are going to be triggered by this card. Add one level 3 water monster from your deck to your hand. So he's going to replenish something he discards, puts to your hand. So that's even. You don't really lose out on any resources, but you get something that you really could use to your hand if you didn't have it already. And it's level 3 water monster. That's going to be really crucial because it's not specific to Mermail. It's not specific at all. So it's just going to be any water monster. So that leaves room for you to tech in some other kind of shenanigans. And then you can only use this effect of Mermail Abyss Pike once per turn. That's fine. So that's not going to be bad depending on what you want to do within the confines of your deck. Next up, we get Atlantean Marksman. Atlantean might combo well with some of these Abyss monsters as well. So let's find out what he does. He's a 3-star, so that fits with the guy that we just saw before. 1400 attack, 0 defense. But when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can special summon one level 4 or lower Atlantean Sea Serpent type monster from your deck, except Atlantean Marksman. So that's not bad. When this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect, here we go. Target one set card your opponent controls, destroy that target. So that's not going to be bad. He's a back row destroyer if he's used for the effect of a water monster. So water, definitely seeing a lot of support right here for sure. And speaking of water monster, here comes the Tekken boy of the century. Back when I was serious about TCG, if you didn't have him in your side deck, you were just out of here. This guy was very crucial because 1900 defense, 3-star water monster, aqua effect. When this card is flipped face up, no matter how he's flipped face up, just when this boy is flipped face up, you see at the bottom of this seemingly innocent snowman is a monster waiting, praying that you flip him face up so that he can destroy a monster on the field. Target one face-up monster on the field and destroy that target. This is the boy to do it. So if side deck ever finds their way back to tournaments, this is the guy. Otherwise, you might be able to tech him in a couple of decks already, especially the water decks. So, and it's a 3-star water aqua. Keep that in mind. That combos very well with the Mermail Abyss Pike that we saw already. Next up, Atlantean Heavy Infantry. I think I said infantry. 0 attack, 1600 defense. What's the stars on this guy? 2 stars. During your main phase, you can normal summon one level 4 or lower Sea Serpent type monster in addition to your normal summon or set. So you normal summon him, and then you get an additional normal summon. You can only gain this effect once per turn. When this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect. Now, keep in mind, it just says when this card is sent to the graveyard, so it could be in your hand or it could be on the field. It might even trigger from just sending it from the deck to the grave. I don't know. This all has to be tested. But target one face-up card your opponent controls, destroy that target. So this is the boy. This is the boy. You can target one face-up card. That means onslaught. That means monsters. That means all the vampire, continuous, or field spells. You're going to get a lot of use out of this guy, and he can get you another monster on the field already. So keep this in mind. This can bring back Whale. Because with Whale, you needed to sacrifice 2 water monsters from the field. this puts 2 water monsters on the field. So this is going to be insane. The combos of swarming with a monster, a water monster, and then maybe a water monster has an effect where you get to remove this guy. So again, the Abyss Megalo, he has an effect where he can attack again just by sending one face-up water monster from your field to the graveyard. So not only can he attack again, you can also clear the field of a monster for him to get the second attack off. So this is going to set up potential 1-turn KOs. I'm already seeing this deck as being tier 2 at least, a water deck. Not even necessarily exclusive to the Mermail line, but just a water deck in general. It's a tier 2, tier 1 deck to be had for sure. And I know I'm not crazy when I say that, and I can't be alone. If you guys think so, leave your comments in the chat below. Next up, UA Stadium. Sounds like a field spell. It is a field spell. This is going to be for the UA boys. If a UA monster is normal summoned to your side of the field, you can add 1 UA monster from your deck to your hand. Once per turn, if a UA monster is special summoned to your side of the field, all monsters you currently control gain 500 attack, even if the card leaves the field. So, needless to say, this card is going to be crucial if you're running a UA deck. Because 1, just by normal summoning in a UA monster, you get to add a card to your hand. That's already going positive. And then, once per turn, if you special summon a UA monster, all monsters currently gain 500 attack. And UAs live off of the special summon. So, you're just going to basically have a built-in beatdown at 500. And since beatdown is getting nerfed, that means you don't have to run beatdown with UA. You could just run the field spell and run another nasty skill and still get the boost, the power boost, if you have UA Stadium out. Next up, we have UA Penalty Box. Now this is going to be a continuous trap card. Let's see what it does. At the start of damage step, so that's going to be key at the start of damage step. Anything that goes to damage step is already good. It can't be useless because it activates during the damage step. If your UA monster battles an opponent's monster, you can banish that opponent's monsters until your opponent's second end phase. So not the next turn, and even during the opponent's second turn, they can't get that monster back until the very end of their turn. That's going to be extremely good. You can only use this effect, a UA Penalty Box, once per turn. So what we have here, folks, is Amazon V2. Not as good because Onslaught permanently banishes a card, but kind of just as good because you don't actually have to touch that monster. It's at the start of damage step. So you're not, you go in with a 0 attack monster. Let's say you got Wall of Deed, right? Something happens, it gets kicked back to your turn. You have still a remaining 0 attack UA monster on your field. You can swing with him because it's a started damage step. That monster that he's attacking gets banished. He doesn't actually touch him. You don't actually lose any life points. And then you can banish this card from your grave. So if it gets popped, you can banish it from your grave to add 1 UA spell card from your deck. So that can search for the this field spell card, right? And maybe you want to run, so maybe you want to attack, get the effect off, and then use a Cyclone to then destroy this, and then destroy a back row of your opponent monster. Maybe even during their turn you're doing this, and then when it comes to your turn, you search for the field spell. So UA's looking pretty beefy. So that's it for the UR and the SR cards. And honestly, this reminds me of the time when we got the main box for Aliens, Sea Stealth, and Archfiends, where it's just multiple decks that each have their pros, each have their cons, but you're not just going to see the stale meta of, man, am I facing furries or am I facing Amazon? So the meta's looking like it's gonna not be stale anymore, and I really hope that that's the case. Now there's going to be a lot of rare cards which will obviously round out the rest of the deck. So the Koiki cards, the Mermail cards, the UA cards, and maybe even a couple more Atlantean cards. I'm not going to go over all of them, but it's definitely going to be you see some Cloudian support, so I don't know what that'll do for Cloudian. You're going to see, of course, some spell and trap cards for each of the archetypes. more so the water archetype. Normal cards, you're gonna see again them rounding out, as well as adding in just some stuff such as Elemental Hero Mudball, man. Like, sheesh, they're just throwing everything in. I remember looking over the list and actually seeing that they're gonna add in some of the cards for so like Burstina Tricks, and for Elemental Hero Bubble, man. Here we go. Bubble Blaster, Bubble Illusion, Bubble Shuffle, and then Burst Return. So they're just rounding out the rest of the hero support. Cyclone, Boomerang, yada yada yada, normal cards. So that's it for my coverage of the leaks. What do you guys think is going to be the best archetype to come from this box? I'm actually going to put my money on Mermails just because I'm biased, but I wouldn't be mad if you said UA, because that trap card, you're going to get a lot of use out of that trap card. That trap card can really mess up a lot of decks and what they want to do. Especially, I can see the Mermail or the Water deck matchup against UA, and you think you're about to attack twice, but during damage step, your boy gets banished. And if I read correctly, is it either turn? Let's find out. So let's go back to it and find out if it's just your turn or either turn. So just at the start of damage step, if your UA monster, so what does that mean? If your UA monster battles an opponent, does that mean the UA has to initiate? If not, if this activates on either turn, man, oh man, UA is gonna put up problems for everything. So this is real crazy. I can't wait for the box to come out. I'm gonna spend my gems. I think it's worth it. I know exactly what I want. I want Mermail, so that's what I'm going to be focused in and honing in on, and reset my box when I get that. So what do you guys think? Are you going after this box? Are you not going after this box? Do you think the meta is going to change drastically because of this box? And how's it going to fare in the long run? Because 5Ds is on the horizon as well. So how does that fit in? Especially when you got decks now that can, like a Mermails, or just like a Water deck in general, with some of these cards help you swarm the field, get off your Synchro, get off the Stardust play, the Red Dragon Archfiend play, the Black Rose play. I don't know. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. That's all I can say. That's it for this video. If you like it, leave the thumbs up, leave the comment. Let's get interactive. Let's make Duel Links get back to what it was before all of these I want my gem shenanigans and just all this just bogus stuff Konami's doing. Let's get it back to the state it was beforehand, where you just got a pure good deck up against another pure good deck, may the best player win. No more coin flip meta, hopefully. But that's it. Your boy Wolf is out.